Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Apa khabar semua para penonton di Radio Melayu Perth malam ini 6 November 2021 bersama dengan 30 Rabiul Awal 1443 Hijrah. Ya, saya DJ Wan sampai ditemani oleh DJ Force yang sekarang ni tengah menjaga melihat dari segi teknikalnya. Semoga tuan-tuan, puan-puan, para pendengar, pada penonton Facebook dan di radio di YouTube Radio Melayu Perth sihat-sihat sentiasa dalam topik yang kita akan bincangkan pada malam ini yang akan dilangsungkan dalam bahasa Inggeris ya. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, wherever you are, thank you for tuning in to the Radio Melayu Perth live show tonight. Okay, we broadcast live through our Facebook page and also YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and like our page because we need your support. And my name is BJ Wan, and accompanying me tonight is BJ Force, who is manning the technical side of our broadcast. And we are honored tonight to have our guest, our special guest, who is a prominent community elder, an Islamic scholar, a social worker, and also a marriage counsellor. I would like to welcome Sheikh Faizel Gaffoor. Assalamualaikum, Sheikh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And yeah, thanks for having me. And inshallah, we can have a very productive discussion, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah. Thank you, Sheikh, for spending your Saturday evening with us, joining us on sharing an interesting topic: 5 languages of love. Yeah. Before we let Sheikh talk a bit more about the topic tonight, Sheikh is an educator with Australian Islamic College AIC. He's also president of Australian National Imam Council WA branch, ENrich WA. So welcome again, Sheikh, and thank you. Yeah. So for topic tonight, we know that there are many languages. There are many spoken languages in this world. There are even computer programming languages. There's a sign language as well. But this is a language of love. Okay, not just one, but 5 of them. So I'm sure the viewers out there would like to know what they are, and I believe Sheikh is happy to share with us tonight. And if there's any questions, please feel free to type it out on the comment section. Inshallah, we'll try to have a fruitful discussion, interaction in tonight's show.
Jazakallah, DJ One, for the introduction, and also I feel very appreciated for you to invite me to this discussion.
Yes.
So before we start, just to let you know, the ENrich, the acronym of Australian National Imams Council. I'm the president of WA. That's a national board of imams right around Australia, and they're doing really well in serving the community. I sit here today as representing myself. So if I say anything, it's not representative of being the president. Okay, today, the languages you mentioned are love.
Yes, yeah. Please.
I'm sure the listeners are probably thinking, what are these languages of love? Well, I'd like to acknowledge Gary Chapman, who's the author of this book. He's done some great research. He's a psychologist, a marriage counselor for many years, few decades. And he's come up with this concept that, generally speaking, we all have 5 languages of love. And the intriguing thing about this is that the book he wrote, a few books actually, has been translated in 50 languages.
Wow.
Over more than 10 million copies sold. And the reason it's so significant, it was written 20 years ago, in the 90s. It's been translated to different languages, so it doesn't mean you're Malay or an Indian or of culture that you can't understand this. It's very general and universal. So it's a very interesting concept of how to connect with your partner, your spouse, or a friend on an emotional level. I like to make a disclaimer: this doesn't fix all marriages, but the topic that we're going to discuss at the workshop is about how can we enhance our current relationships? How can we sort of understand our partner, our friends, the person of significance in our lives, that we can understand and reciprocate that feeling of love that we all crave? So that's what the main gist is. So the question is for the listeners: what are those 5 languages of love? So the first one you mentioned is the words of affirmation, right?
Right.
Now, This Gary Chapman, is a Christian background, and I respect him a great deal. This has nothing to do with religion. It's a universal way of expressing love for someone else. And the Prophet ﷺ, if we look at the Hadith and the Quran, we will find that these concepts are already embedded within the lifestyle and the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. For example, words of affirmation, expressing to your partner, to your friend, that you actually appreciate them, you actually love them. Because there's a concept in Islam, if you love someone, say, I love you, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Aisha radiallahu anha, there's one hadith, which is not very sahih, but we can base it, where Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha asked the Prophet, do you love me? He said, my love is like a knot. And so he affirmed his love for her by saying, my love for you is like a knot. And later on, she would ask him, how's that knot? And he said, very tight. So it's affirming that his affection for Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. So the concept of word of affirmation is to learn how to appreciate and say to the person of significance that I love you, right? The other side of that is to learn what mode of language does your partner speak. So, for example, if I was to tell someone in, Urdu that I love you, and he speaks Irish, how's he going to understand that language?
Yeah.
You're saying it hundreds of times, and he says, what are you saying? And later on, he says, you don't love me. And you claim that you've been telling that all the time. You speak different languages. So that's a concept. To learn the love language of your partner, your spouse, or the significant other. And that's another discussion. How do you do that? That's another discussion. But we're just going to go to the 5 languages. Right. So that was the first one, is words of affirmation. Yeah. Makes logical sense to tell someone I love you in many ways, but verbally to praise someone for their efforts. So that way is affirming your love for that individual. The second one is acts of service. Acts of service. Yeah. Because the concept is that we tend to show love differently, and we might have a different medium or mode how we want love shown to us. It's a concept. Yes. It's not engraved in stone, but we need to understand that. So some person might like for you to express the way you love them by doing things for them. Your wife asks you, could you cut the lawn? And you go, no, I'm too busy. That might be interpreted as, this guy doesn't love me. He doesn't give me the time. He doesn't do things for me. But you say you love her all the time. But the way she wants to be loved, we speak in different languages. So the third one is giving gifts, right? Where some of us like to receive gifts. Some of us like to give gifts. So that's the third one. The fourth one is quality time. And I can relate to quality time because to sit with your spouse and significant partner without the television, without the radio on, without the internet, and look into the eyes and have a quality conversation, that very rarely happens nowadays. Yeah. Undivided attention, where you're relating, you're connecting with the eyes, you're touching, you're having a beautiful conversation. So quality of time, some of us speak that language. And the last one is physical touch, which is, physical touch could be intimacy, could be a hug, could be a whole shaking of the hand. And all of those concepts, you'll find it examples in the lifestyle of the Prophet ﷺ. So I think the workshop will more or less look into that further in detail. How can we recognize what my language of love is and what is the language that my partner speaks? So that's a challenge, to actually understand how to express love and how my partner receives it. So that's the gist of the actual concept of the 5 love languages. Right. Yeah,
that's interesting. For those audience, we have not basically touched on the workshop, okay, because they're going to be a workshop coming up basically on the 14th of November, as displayed on the screen. So this marriage workshop is conducted by Sheikh Faizel himself, which is going to be conducted in Hilton Hotel. So there's tickets for you to basically investment is $69, and Sheikh will go through these 5 languages in great detail, and also many more through, from an Islamic perspective itself. So basically, if you wonder what workshop that Sheikh is mentioning before, is basically this workshop, and you can basically go there and have this interactive marriage workshop to improve your understanding. But tonight is basically an overview of what these 5 languages that has been shared briefly by Sheikh. Words of affirmation, acts of service, giving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Right. Sheikh, question.
Yep, sure. Shoot away.
So yeah. So basically, this clearly sometimes related to cultural as well, because certain culture, words of affirmation does not come easy. Okay, people don't display affection as open. So how I mean, for your experience, probably your culture is like that. I think Malay culture sometimes can be like that way. So what's your comment on that?
Actually, culture is very important. You need to respect culture, but I simplify the whole process. Whatever you need to do in your relationship, put culture aside, because your relationship is within the 4 walls of your house. Culture, it could be a negative aspect in building your relationship. For example, if you refer to culture as important, the Prophet ﷺ in Bukhari hadith, in regards to physical touch, that when the Prophet ﷺ left the house, he used to kiss Hazrat Aisha, right? Now, culturally, I might say my culture, we don't do that. But our role model is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, we have a choice here. You either hold on to your culture, which is been developed over the years by, our ancestors, or we refer to what our role model, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is. And I'm sure some of our cultures, we don't kiss our wives on the cheek, on the lips, or the forehead when they leave the house. We have certain customs. So I think culture needs to be respected, but if it is not helping your relationship, you should abandon it. So these languages, it's something that it's beyond culture. And I'm sure culturally, if you can't affirm your love for your spouse, then you need to find something that within the boundaries of your culture to affirm your love. Because we all need to be told, I love you, whether it's verbally, whether it's with saying, you know what, you look so beautiful today. You look fantastic today. You've done a great job. It doesn't have to be, I love you, because I love you sometimes come across very fake. But words of affirmation can be positive feedback, admiration, words of showing appreciation, on the opposite of put downs. Oh, you've done a silly job. Look nice today. You look, overweight. So on the binary is when words of affirmation refers to anything good that will uplift your relationship, that will increase your affection for the next person, or make the next person feel that you love them. And personally, I don't think any culture would go against that. DJ one.
Yeah.
Whether any religion wouldn't go against it, because the foundation of a religion is that they want marriages to work. They want relations to flourish, rather than end up in situations where families are broken up. And so I think culture and the 5 languages. The book has been translated into 50 languages, the same book.
Yeah.
And I think with some adaptation towards culture, it needs to be respected, but the universal understandings that we can sort of modify within our culture. I'm not sure if that helps, but
it's fine. Yeah, you explained it very clearly. And for those of you out there who's watching the show, thank you for following our show tonight. If you have any questions to share about the 5 languages of love, or we have general question about relationship with your spouse, with your families, with your friends, please feel free to write it down on comment section. We will inshallah try to get to address them, inshallah. Okay, thanks for the initial explanations, or briefly sharing the 5 languages of love. So basically, you're also a marriage counselor, right? Okay. Do you see issues with marriage that from your experience? Does it related to the lacking of any of these 5 things?
Okay. Honestly, in the Muslim community, irrelevant of culture, we haven't embraced the concept of counseling. Yes, we understand when our marriage is in a critical stage, they run to the imam, go to the masjid, complain, two parties are complaining. The imam is sitting there bewildered by the crisis. There's high tension, there's trauma involved, there's a lot of aspects involved. So that's not counseling. So if you look at the case of counseling, when couples actually come for a long period of time, you'll see there's a connection between the lack of love, the lack of feeling loved, the lack of showing appreciation relationship, and the total breakdown of communication. So definitely, when you look at previous marriages that have broken down, you wonder, maybe that could have worked if they only understood that my wife needs to be shown love in a different way. And you wonder, I mean, it is written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's destiny, but you think maybe if this couple actually would sat down with someone and had a counseling session or a few counseling sessions to find out what went wrong in the relationship. What am I doing wrong? Can I modify my behavior? Can I modify my attitude towards my wife's wanting us to be loved more? Because men, we think we're the best lovers in the world, right? You ask any man, I'm the man, my wife loves me so much, but ask the wife that question. What do you love about me? I think there's a problem there. So culture, I'm not sure the Malay culture is that open. I'm not sure the listeners can ask, but we need to learn, how does our partners want to be showed that we love them? Okay, let me ask you a question, DJ One. Do you like chocolate?
Yes, I do.
You love chocolate.
Yeah.
So I think you love sweets, Indian sweets. And I bring you Indian sweets all the time. And that's my way of expressing love to you. So what would you prefer, chocolates or Indian sweets?
Yeah. Well, if I like Indian sweets, yeah.
No, we like chocolate, yeah?
I like chocolate, yeah.
But I'm bringing Indian sweets.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I'm expressing my love for you by Indian sweets.
So, yeah.
So, and you're going to get sick of Indian sweets, right?
Yeah.
So my job is to understand you better and say, okay, find out what DJ One loves, chocolates. So I'm going to speak his language of, what he likes, give you chocolates. Yeah. So I think in that counseling session, we need to learn and analyze our spouses and even communicate with them in a very genuine discussion. I've been doing this all these years and I feel distant from you. I'm showing I love you, but you're not receiving it. Is there something wrong? So that open discussions could lead to a deeper relationship. And we could feel very fulfilled in regards to how we receive our love, affection, and how we, reciprocate that. So definitely, I think, according to Gary Chapman's book, a lot of people have benefited from it because it just says, from the amount of translations that's happened, the amount of books have been selling, it's a worldwide book that has really helped a lot of people. And I believe that these are very important topics for people to consider in regards to the relationships. I've had this discussion with my wife, honestly, and I'm really worried. All these years I've been doing certain things, and now I find I'm not speaking a language, and I'm married for over 40 years. So it doesn't matter how long you're married for, it can be a starting point of rejuvenating what sort of dwindled out in a relationship. I truly feel that it's going to be beneficial for people if they look into the 5 languages of love with an open mind and willing to discuss that with their spouses, partners, or people of importance.
Yeah, that's good. Anyone who have any questions, please write them down. Inshallah, we will highlight them on the comment section. Right. You brought up a very interesting word, reciprocate, just now, right? Because this sometimes it can be one-way street.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So from your experience, how can we make this work in a relationship? I guess husband and wife both need to reciprocate, do the same thing for it to work.
Yeah, I think do the same thing it's not really the same. Okay, this is an important concept. If I feel that my love language is different to my wife's, we need to discuss that. We need to analyze other. As human beings, we all need to be loved, right? We need to be touched. Yeah. But the concept of this 5 languages of love is we have a primary mode of language. Let's get personal. Myself, I'm a toucher. I like hugs. I like to hold hands. Whether it's my Muslim brother's hands, I like to hold hands. And I can feel when I shake a person's hand, and they feel uncomfortable, they pull away. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm a touchy person.
Okay.
So if I'm very touchy, I might make the next person feel uncomfortable because that's not their language of love.
Right.
So I think to reciprocate love, right? Genuine love is from yourself, right? But the person that is receiving needs to understand that's how I express my love. That's very important in a relationship. Even though it's difficult for me to show love to my wife the way she wants it, I need to learn that. I need to learn and embrace how my wife appreciates my attention, whether it's word of affirmation, whether it's receiving gifts or physical touch. I need to learn that. So it's a learning process. Normally in marriages, some marriages love before married, but some of us get married, then learn to love. Yeah. So to learn to love is a process. And we can do that as we get, in our journey. So I think reciprocating love is very important. It's a sunnah of the Prophet. It's human nature that if I show you love, you're going to show me back. The question is how? What is my primary mode of receiving love or expressing love? That's something we need to understand with our significant other, with our spouse, our children. You can apply this with children as well. It's understanding how to express the love and how they receive it. If you have 9 kids, like myself, I have 9 kids. Oh, that's hard work. Yes. How do you show different kids that you love them? Yeah. And you get this accusation, you never love me, Dad. Like, I love you, but why do you think I don't love you? That's a difficult conversation. Right. So when it comes to marriage counseling and the wife says, you never show me you love me. It's like, Sheikh, I've been showing you, I'm buying her things. I bought a brand new car. And she goes, that's not important to me. I want time. So that is significant. Understanding your spouse's, what's meaningful to them in regards to expressing your love. It's a learning curve. So everyone's going to go home and ask their wife, how do I show love? It's not a quick fix. It's not go home and say, okay, it's a discussion to have and build on from there. It's not a one-day fix. It's something we learn. So I hope the listeners come some good questions. But it's a learning process. But the initial objective of this is to start discussion. Let couples think of their relationships, analyze it, and work on developing it. And inshallah, I hope with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it creates a better understanding of, our relationship with our significant others, spouses, family, even children.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Thank you for answering the question just now, Sheikh. So for those of you who just watching us, basically, Sheikh Faizel have just briefly listed down the 5 languages of love. The first one is words of affirmation. The second is acts of service. The third is giving gifts. Fourth is quality time, and the fifth is physical touch. For those of you who would like to know more on these 5 languages and a lot more, there will be a workshop. And will be conducted on the 14th of November at Hilton Hotel, Parmelia Hilton, Perth, which Sheikh will basically cover this in great detail, more on Islamic perspective, how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it on his spouse and so on. So basically, this is going to be a worthwhile workshop for everyone to attend. The investment is only $69. It includes lunch at 5-star hotel. So please contact the numbers on display. There are still tickets, but spots are limited. Well, back to Sheikh. Next question.
Yep.
Right? Okay, talking about basically we try to follow as much as possible the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad and how we know that Prophet is very honest person. Mm-hmm. How does Prophet handles honesty with his spouse? For example, if something that probably for my wife is the cook is not really nice, the food is not really nice. How does someone handles that?
Yeah. What, the handle where the food's not cooked nice?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
For example.
Honestly, we live in a different age. We've been groomed very differently. We're culturally taught, educated. We're in some instance westernized in many ways. I grew up in South Africa, then Australia. And I have a Malay background. I have an Indian background as well. When I look at my customs, they're very influenced by the West. So I think when we look at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with a very pristine akhlaq, attitude and behavior, it's a guide for us. But I think my focus in this workshop and this discussion is the Prophet's lifestyle is there for us to reflect upon. But what's more important is to understand the context of our relationships. Sometimes if you look directly in the hadith, we might misinterpret how to apply it. And that also causes conflict. So what I'm saying is the Prophet ﷺ never ever criticized anything that was presented to him in regards to consumables, foods. If there's not enough salt, don't say there wasn't enough salt. That's how perfect and beautiful the Prophet's akhlaq was. But in our context of living, what I'm saying is, or what we're proposing is, that we open the communication with our spouses to a point where we can say something and our spouse say, okay, that's fine, I'll change that. But say it with words of affirmation. You know what, love, the food is fantastic, but I think there's a bit too much salt. Not that the Prophet forbids saying that, but because your communication is so open, she will say, oh, no problem, I made a mistake. But not saying in a very critical way, put down way and criticize your wife in that sense that she feels hurt. That doesn't generate a positive environment in your relationship. So what we're saying is that, yes, the hadith is important. There's certain context we're living in. So we need to apply the things we do in this modern day of living, but consider that we need to be very compassionate and kind the way the Prophet taught us to be. And there's words of affirmation. Your question about food, you can apply them anyway. Your clothes aren't ironed properly. Well, maybe the men should iron their own clothes, I'm not sure. Then you won't complain, right? The Prophet Muhammad even swept his own house. That's proven in hadith. So what we're saying is that when we do say something, say it in a way that you are expressing your love for your wife, and vice versa. It should be both ways. So how do we address the challenge we face in our relationship is with compassion. And compassion comes up with open communication and with sincerity, not with put downs. So I think context is very important and how we address the crisis within our relationships. I honestly believe that we all have difficult times in our relationships, including myself. But how we deal with it at the time, what we say, those words of affirmation, those physical touches, instead of being abusive, physical, violence, we can physically touch our wife in a sense of saying, you know what, I don't approve of this, without the hitting. So these 5 languages, contrary to all the negative aspects that destroys relationship, these 5 languages actually builds relationships. So I think, according to your question, we need to apply this concept within the context that we're living in, the cultural context that will enhance our relation rather than worsen it. Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah. If any questions, para penonton yang ada soalan, ya, ada soalan boleh typekan soalan anda di ruangan komen kepada Sheikh Faizel Gaffoor, seorang pakar dalam kaunseling perkahwinan di Perth ini, dan jika di sini juga untuk mempromosikan atau memberi sedikit preview terhadap workshop yang akan datang pada 14 November nanti di Hilton Hotel. Jadi ini adalah khusus perkahwinan lah. Okay? Dia macam workshop untuk yang mereka-mereka yang sudah berkahwin dan yang bukan belum berkahwin, perancang untuk berkahwin. Jadi di Hilton Hotel pada 14 November. Jadi Sheikh, can you explain a little bit more? What will you cover in this workshop? Yeah.
So it won't be very long. It's a long workshop, but we're going to cover the concepts of the 5 languages as introduction. We will attempt to help participants find out or explore what their language of love might be in regards to questionnaire discussions. And the other aspect is what actually erodes these 5 languages of love. Because you have a binary. Words of affirmation is either used to enhance relationship or used to destroy relationship. And that's where the whole aspect of abuse comes in. You can have physical touch. The physical element of relationship can either enhance the relationship or it can destroy the relationship. So I think a discussion in regards to that. The main objective, DJ1, is to allow people to start thinking differently. I mean, as a disclaimer, we don't, the working team doesn't claim to present this fantastic workshop and everyone goes home, they're going to fix their relationships. It's more complicated than that. This is one aspect of a relationship on an emotional level, right? And I don't think anyone has claimed that if you understand this, your relationship will work. No, there's many aspects. And when you look at deteriorating marriages, there are many causations of a marriage to break down. But this is connecting with your partner on an emotional level that will hopefully enhance your relationship. But is it a fix-all method? That's questionable. So, I hope it'll be introduction to more workshops in the future for specifically couples. We, as a team, we spoke in regards to our next workshop might be specifically with couples. I'm just thinking, that they sit at their own table, have open, meaningful discussions to enhance their relationships. Because in the end, no one wants a relationship to break down. We want to empower people to live through the difficulties, the struggles that marriage, relationship face, to endure that. And I think from a statistical point of view, from 1999, the divorce rate has decreased, which is good. Yes. But it doesn't distinguish religious, marriages. But there is a decrease from 1999, not a significant one, but on divorces. So we want to lessen that. We want to make marriages work. We want to help people, empower people to be able to understand the relationship better, for the betterment of the kids and the families themselves. So it's more of an empowering workshop, hoping participants will go back thinking, discussing, analyzing their own behaviors, try to modify those behaviors, and inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, it'll be very beneficial. Sure. And you have a free lunch, not free lunch, a beautiful lunch at Hilton. Beautiful lunch, yes. Within the whole, good people, nice people. Yep.
Yeah, let's have a look if there's any comment from the audience. See, EYKY production, inshallah, saya promosikan group. Okay, basically Malaysia. Someone promotes this show or the workshop in Malaysia. Unfortunately,
you think you fly over?
Yeah, you need to fly in.
Get 2 vaccinations. But difficult.
Make sure, need to quarantine as well. Selamat petang ke DJ Radio Malaysia. Selamat petang, Encik Muhammad, Tuan Muhammad Hasbi, Muhammad Hasbi. Yeah, good afternoon. Jazz Joe, semakin menarik topik-topik yang dianjurkan. Okay, interesting topic organized by RMP. Congratulations. Thank you, Jazz Joe. Zainab Gaffoor. Go Faizel.
Oh, that's my mom. Yes, Assalamualaikum, Mom. Jazakallah for your support. Yeah, been married for, I think, over 60 years now. Really good example of communication. So thanks, Mom. Taught us a lot.
Thank you for listening. Shirin, Adolphus, Amin. And that's one question, basically, Hassan Gaffoor. Do you love me?
Well, yes, actually I do. I do love you. Thanks for your support.
And another question by same person. What is the true meaning of love? What is the true meaning of love?
I actually don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Only yesterday we got Ustaz Mumu Mubarak.
Yeah.
Spelling the topic is love, basically telling about the love of Prophet Muhammad, the love of Allah. But the meaning of love itself.
Honestly, if I said I can't define love, I probably couldn't. But love in English, it's just one word. If you look at the Arabic concept of love, it has 10 different meanings. Like in the Quran verse, it says, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَ مَوَدَّةَ وَرَحْمَةً, that Allah has put mawadda and rahmah between you. So one of the types of love in Arabic is mawadda. That's a love that is reciprocal in marriage. There's many other types of love, the love of Allah. When you obey the Prophet Muhammad, Allah will love you. In regards to the question of Hassan, I'm sure is referring to spousal love. I'm assuming that. How you define love at this moment is very difficult, because have you ever heard of love, how it oscillates? One day you love someone, the next day you hate them. In a spousal relationship, I think we should love our spouses for the sake of Allah. In the sense of, that's only my opinion, it's my perspective, that once I've married my partner, it's a covenant. It's a promise I've made to Allah that I will look after my spouse, I will love her, I will respect her. So that's one love that I have for my spouse. We've been wedded in the name of Allah, the hadith and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And I will respect that. So that love should be there. Now, that's where the languages come in. Now, how to express that love? That's the misinterpretation. It is very sad that in some of our relationships that you will find an individual abuse their wives or their husbands, and after say, I did that because I love you. It doesn't make sense to me, because the way we interpret love is very different, culturally even, religiously. So what love is, I think it's something that's very misunderstood. You can have someone prior to marriage, Dad, I want to marry this person because I love them. And you know for a fact, the girl is 16 years old, went to school, met a boy, no job, no direction, Dad, I want to marry him, I love him, or I love him. That confuses us, what love actually is. What do they perceive as love? What do we understand as love? And what does an adult perceive as love? So I think to understand love is very complicated. It's an emotional reaction to stimuli from outside. You can love chocolate, you can love a person, you can love behaviors. But I think my understanding of love is that the fundamental foundation of love is to love someone for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from there, apply that, express that love, and use the languages, 5 languages of love to express it. And that has to be according to your religious, framework, which is Islam. But I'd love to hear from the listeners what they understand about love. Yeah. So I think it can be interpreted very differently.
It is probably a workshop by itself.
Yeah, definitely. If you ask your wife, do you love me? She will say, okay, not now, but maybe later. It's an emotional, it's a state that you're in at that moment. Yeah. Just to share with you, I was in a hotel room with my 2 sisters. And we were talking about love. And when women talk, interesting, females. So they ask each other, do you love your husband? I said, what kind of question is that? I thought about it and I said, do I love my wife? It's a good question. Do you love your wife? How do you love your wife? And I asked my wife, do you love me? She goes, Inshallah. So I'm thinking, there's no direct answer. Do you love me? Yes or no? It's how you express it. It evolves. The way you loved your wife or your partner the time you're married, 10 years after and 40, it evolves. So how do you find love? It's quite subjective and circumstantial. Yeah. I hope that helped the questioner. But keep on loving and keep your marriages going.
Right. Okay. That's great. With us in the studio is Brother Yani. Is Brother Yani? Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Brother is one of the organizing members of this coming workshop. Brother Yani from Aceh organization.
Yes. From Aceh. Actually, we do it from Masjid Al-Latif, Darut Tauhid, Australia.
Oh, from
Sure.
Masjid Al
Yeah.
Latif. Yeah. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So bagaimana sambutan? How's this marriage workshops coming up in terms of the people receive it so far?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it's like it is our first trial, like a pilot project. We will see how it works. But alhamdulillah, so far is I think the ticket almost full. We left around 15, another 15 ticket. So hopefully we can pull it up. But regardless of that, we are not focusing on how many tickets we sell, but first we try what is the value we can give, because we know a lot of issue, especially in our Muslim community. That's why we approach Sheikh to share his knowledge, and then we can have like everyone can get benefit from it. And then after we see, we get the feedback. What is the feedback? And then from that feedback, maybe inshallah we'll have another more detailed workshop, because Sheikh say it is only for 2 hours, not enough. We need like one full day workshop. But inshallah, we will see what is the feedback is, what the requirement is, inshallah.
I'm very happy to work with the team. I've learned so much. I think in Perth, we've had quite a lot of lectures and seminars in regards to marriage. What we're looking at is more interactive, more practical, with the participants, and that's what we need to work towards. So that's why this pilot project, it's a start to big aspirations of having workshops where couples come in, and irrelevant if you're married or not. You could be a couple that are thinking of getting married. Doesn't matter where you wear hijab or don't wear hijab, or you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, we're open to that. Our objective is to help people's relationships, because I think a lot of us, we think we're educated, as honestly speaking, DJ One, when we get married, did someone teach us how to be a husband? I wasn't taught. Did they teach us how to behave with our spouses? Yes, it's in the Quran, it's in the workshop, but did someone actually sit down and say, you know what, this is how you do things? There are workshops, but in our Muslim community, we need to have that. And the scholars in Perth, Allah reward them all, they've been discussing having a workshop prior to getting married. So when you apply to get married Islamically, you have to attend a workshop, which is the foundation in Singapore and Malaysia. Exemplary examples. Not to say the marriage will work, no one guarantees that, but it's an educational process. So I hope with the team from Masjid Al Latif, inshallah, we can get something like that going, and unite everyone on that, so we can help ourselves and young people, have better relationships. It's very painful to see when marriages break down, and you think there could have been a solution to it, only if they focused on things that mattered, or they were educated themselves on how to manage conflict, challenges from the children. As I said, we're westernized, without a doubt. We're westernized. We've chosen to be in a Western country. There's challenges, social challenges, social corruption, there's temptations. So when we challenge with those things, we are rattled. How do you deal with this? And one of those issues is the marriages. So you can understand the complexities of relationship where your marriage is breaking down, lack of communication, you have challenge with your young children, teenage children. It just compounds itself. And you can only understand if you don't understand, these concepts, maybe the outcome is pretty negative. So maybe this concept will help us in those challenging times.
So we see also in the community now, it's like, I don't know, it's like a trend or not, but a lot of young people, they are 20, 21 years old, they start getting married, especially in our community.
Yes.
So that's another another reason why we try to do this workshop. So, and then we can let them have knowledge to understand the relationship. In this, where we discuss with Sheikh, in this workshop, like we don't discriminate. Like Sheikh mentioned before, it doesn't matter you wear hijab or not hijab. That's not the issue. You are in legal relationship or not, because we are not judging anyone. What we want to do is like sharing this knowledge, so benefit to everyone.
We have one of the team members mentioned there's a applicant that is not Muslim, which is very encouraging. Everyone's welcome. He wants to, I suppose, be exposed to the Islamic concept of relationship. And I'm thinking, okay, we're not so different to you. We love the same. We might not express it differently, but Muslims also love. We're also kind. You know, we don't all beat our wives. That's a wrong understanding. But I think he's come with an open heart. He wants to see is being married in a Muslim family different to my conclusion is, look, if you can see a non-Muslim married for 60 years and they're so happy. Why? And you have a Muslim couple, but this is from my experience. I've been exposed to quite a bit of family domestic violence cases and divorce. And you find this couple who are, very Islamic, but their behaviors are contrary to what Islam says, and the marriage breaks down. So within a marriage, it is about the relationship, how you treat your spouse. It is not, someone can be an atheist and the marriage is working, right? Why? Because the relationship is flourishing. And you can be a Christian, your marriage is flourishing. You can be a very religion. If you're not behaving in a certain way, your marriage will be, it'll deteriorate. So I think the workshop is also part of sharing these five languages of love and like showing that within Islamic framework, these are embedded in it. We as Muslims just need to look further and understand the beautiful lifestyle of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's all within there. So I'm very excited. It's a good learning curve for us all. And DJ, I'd like to thank you again for this. It's fantastic. I'm really enjoying this discussion.
As a reminder to our viewers, there are still about 15 tickets available to this coming workshop at Hilton Hotel. Please contact the persons that's been displayed on the poster. One of them is Juriani, Miss Husna and Ross,
So actually, the even effort from the sister for the sister, we just providing them with the facilities.
It's good. I mean, well done to Mr. Latif Payani, and also Sheikh for organizing and planning this coming workshop. And we would like to invite everyone, the Perth communities, to join. If there's any further questions about the workshop, you can just please contact to the organizing committee. Inshallah. Any questions? Any further questions about the topic tonight? It's all good. Wow, everyone seems to be understands what you're.
I think it's logical. It's common sense.
It's common sense. Yeah.
It is very common sense. I mean, one point I'd like to mention. There's five languages. It's been critiqued. We're not saying it's written. It came from heavens. It's an individual's understanding of his lifetime work. So there's one downfall to this. It's like saying that if you don't love me, I won't love you back. If you don't give me, I won't give you back. It's not about that. It's about learning how to love your spouse. And it's about learning that if my spouse, my partner, has a certain way of showing love, I need to embrace it. Even if I don't like it. For example, as I said, I'm a touchy person. If my wife is not that type of person, she needs to understand. That's how I show my love. And don't push me away. Try to learn that. Try to be comfortable with the way I express it, and vice versa. So I think it's about understanding. It's about learning, adapting behaviors. If someone likes word of affirmation and you're shy to say I love you, or you're shy to praise, learn it. Go to a counselor and say, I'm finding it very difficult to tell my wife you look beautiful. I find it very uncomfortable to hug my wife in front of my kids. Brother, you need counseling. If the Prophet ﷺ did that, the Prophet showed how he loved his wives openly. And there's many instances, we don't need to elaborate, But I think we need to drop our guard. And it's not only about you need to learn my love language and I learn yours so we can give and take. It's about learning to embrace the love language of your partner. Difficult as it is, we need to adapt and learn. I'm sure, inshallah, it will. As Gary Chapman said, we run on tanks, petrol tank of love. Sometimes we run out of it, and we need to replenish that. And it's a beautiful relationship when you see your spouse and you feel, there's one questionnaire and says, when's the last time you've sat with your wife and you felt butterflies? Okay, when was that? When's the last time you sat with your wife and or your partner and you had a deep conversation and you felt that attraction and, or you touched your past and you felt really like you did when you initially got married? Where those feelings gone? We're still married. Yes, there's work and there's bills, but at least have a little bit of that. So where's it all that gone to? Maybe we can rejuvenate and fill our tanks and get back that love that people talk about. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah. To know more, there's 15 spots available. Inshallah.
So we'd like to add a bit more about the food. Inshallah, everything halal. We said that so we can
100%.
Halal, 100%.
Have you heard of 100% halal?
So don't worry, it's like Hilton. We make sure the food and everything is halal.
I think I'm looking forward to the lunch actually. Nice food, nice people. Interesting. Nice conversation, and it's about learning. We will thrive on feedback. Relationship about learning. I'm not a guru that knows everything because I've had my own challenges in my relationship. We all have challenges, so it's about learning, sharing with the young. No one claims to be Mr. Fix It All, because if there was, we'd be very rich. You could fix people's marriages.
As Muslim, we believe it will always be tested by Allah.
It's definitely in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Applying those concepts is very important.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Sheikh Faizal and Brother Yani for coming in tonight. Hope the event is a success, and look forward to have you again on
pleasure.
Talking on different topics.
Definitely, I'm really excited for the event. It's already been a success anyway. Just planning it, it's taking place. It's irrelevant who comes, but it's a success anyway. We will build on it for next workshop. And thank you very much, DJ One and DJ Foz, for the pleasant interview.
Alhamdulillah. Terima kasih kepada semua penonton yang mengikuti siaran ini. Thank you very much to all that follow that watching this shows. These shows will always be on our Facebook and YouTube. You can refer it and listen to it or watch it again how many times you wish to refresh your memories, and inshallah don't forget to come to the marriage workshop event on the 14th of November at Hilton Hotel. My name is DJ One, DJ Force, together in a studio. Thank you so much again, Sheikh Faizel Gaffoor and Brother Yani from Al Latif Mosque. We see you again inshallah in our next Friday show, inshallah, on a different topic. Please follow our Facebook page and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.